The book is called Sparrows of Senegambia, and we have with us in our virtual green room Dr. Charles Sampson. He has quite a background. In talking to him off the air, he's a founding member of the Harry S. Truman School of Public Affairs, University of Missouri. He's a founding member of the University of Missouri Department of Black Studies. He got a Ph.D. in Public and International Affairs, the University of Pittsburgh in the 70s. And it's fascinating. We could talk to him about a lot of different things. We're going to focus in, obviously, on his book, but his studies focused on urban and regional planning. I was just thinking about this the other day. And plus, he's a Fulbright scholar, and he has done so much more as far as traveling and speaking and all of that. Dr. Sampson, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So tell us about the book. What led you to writing this book?
Well, the book, Sparrows of Senegambia, has its beginnings probably around 2005. In 2005, I was working with a group called the Consortium on International Management, Project and Development. It's a group of professors and other scholars who work with developing democracies. In this instance, we were working with developing democracies in sub-Saharan Africa. That trip took us in 2005 to Senegal, and we were at a slave port in Senegal, the Gorée Island in particular. And we had a conversation with Senegalese professionals about the impact of Senegalese participation in the slavery movement. And I was flabbergasted when my colleague from Senegal indicated that his ancestors were really not aware of the long-term impact of slavery. And I was absolutely floored. And so I began to think about my growing up in America. I'm very proud to be an American. I've had a very, very good life. I lived through segregation and second-class citizenship. And so I was thinking that once we traveled to Africa, we would find folks who were aware of what their ancestors had done to my ancestors. But that was not the case. And so that led me to keep close attention to the places that we tracked to while we were on that continent. I've been on that continent to 16 or 17 countries on that continent over a 15 or 20 year period. And so I was able to make comparisons of what I thought was versus what I had seen. And that's probably too long of an answer, but that's the answer to your question.
So as you dug into this, so interesting and spending all that time, what did you find that maybe surprised you that you put in the book?
Well, a number of things. I am a Christian, but I was surprised at the participation of the churches in Africa, because on Gorée Island, off the Dakar, Senegal, the slaves who lost the intergroup battles were stored in the basement of churches, very adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean. So I was surprised that churches participated in that. I'm discovering that I was really naive about those things. So that was a surprise. And I was also surprised when we traveled to other parts on the continent, how friendly the people are and how unaware it seemed to me that they were of their condition. The continent was divided by large European countries. And I found that in places where the English were the colonizers, those countries were better off. And where French colonized, those countries were not so well off. So I could go on and on and on, but those are some of the things that come to mind immediately.
Yeah. When people read Sparrows of Senegambia, what do you hope they take away?
Well, I hope that they will see why I have chosen that topic to be that title to begin with. Sparrows are small birds. They are very, very sturdy birds that fight against the environment that they find themselves in. And as I thought about what my family had faced, we were like sparrows in my mind. And sparrows fly above their circumstance to get away from doom and dismay. So that's why the sparrows. Senegambia is a place that no longer is known by that name. Senegambia is on the tip of the west coast of Africa, and it included the Gambia and Senegal and other adjoining countries. That doesn't exist anymore. But the Sparrows of Senegambia suggested to me that the generations that I found in my family, and we could only go back to the years immediately following the Civil War, the census of 1870. So I could only find 6 generations of my family. And I trace all of that back. I trace how illiteracy held us back. I trace how the founding of the country and the impact of the country and how it developed. That is, that wealth and planters played a big part in the development of our country. And all of those things, I think I'm kind of wondering, but all of those things come together.
Yeah. For you, was it obviously it was interesting. Was it kind of fun to put this together, to really dive deeper? Yeah, it was fun. I had to crawl into my imagination for a lot of that. I created a time machine, and so I traveled through the summer forest of my mind, and I get into my time machine and I fly up to places in this country, to places in Africa, and I make comparisons. And that's how I move through the book to discuss those things. Yeah, so interesting. Any other books on the horizon for you?
Well, I have written most recently, about 3 or 4 years ago, a book called... what is the name of my book? Now, this is terrible. I'm here on a national hookup, and I forget the name. Has to do with black cities and how black cities have cropped up as a result of the public law that created the Voting Rights Act. And the title of that book is Vanishing Beacons. I see vanishing beacons. The beacons obviously are lights, and mayors are lights for the cities that they serve. But all mayors, be they black, be they white, are handicapped by the lack of resources to provide for the development of the needs of their citizens. And so that's what the book is about. And then I wound up comparing a group of black-run cities with a group of white-run cities to see how they spend their monies. And I found that there was no significant difference in how they spent their monies. So that's what I wrote in the year or so after I retired. And before then, I wrote a book called Values, Bureaucracy, and Public Policy. So that's how my academic life has been spent.
Yeah, and that makes sense because of what you've done in your academic life and how you could weave that into both of those books that you mentioned, certainly. I like the fact that you said that you went into your imagination for this one. So interesting. And again, you can get the book on Amazon or B&N or wherever great books are sold, Sparrows. My grandmother loved sparrows, so you really put that in my head, Sparrows of Senegambia. Dr. Charles Sampson, thanks so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me, and you have a good holiday.
You too. Thank you.